Hey, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to get on here and touch base with you after we just saw Trump's big bullshit bill pass the House, and it's now headed up to his desk to be signed and passed into law, which is pretty difficult to swallow. This is going to affect a lot of people, and we saw numbers that upwards of 50,000 people are going to die from this. And I was speaking to somebody earlier in person, actually, and they're a fairly conservative person, and we were talking about some of my writing and things like that, and they brought up that they saw that statistic that up to 50,000 people were going to die because of this legislation, and she didn't believe it. And I had to explain to her, just exactly how that's going to happen. And it might not be the people that are in the nursing homes right now, it might not be the people that are getting care right now, but when this goes into effect, and I believe they're pausing it until after the midterms so that they can ride this out and kind of try to steal that victory from Democrats, like politically. This will affect those people that get cancer and need that life-saving care and treatment and things like that 2 years from now when they're going through it and Medicaid denies them because that $1 trillion got cut right out of it. That's a big issue, and it's scary to think about that. There's that cognitive dissonance going on where some people just don't believe that the government could do that. And we see the cruelty every day because we're paying attention and we're involved and we know what's going on. But, the average person just doesn't want to believe that's a possibility, that there's going to be that kind of suffering. And I think there really is. The next thing I wanted to get to, we know what Republicans' response is. We know that they're going to say that this is just an extension of the mandate and this is the president's policy going into action, but they push this through really quickly, which they're going to celebrate that as well. And the corporate media is going to help them do it, and they're going to help them with their talking points and everything, but we can't let that slide. We know exactly the kind of deregulation that's going on with this bill. We know the toxic waste that's being dumped. We know the things that it's doing to the Affordable Care Act. We know what it's doing to Medicaid, what it's giving to corporate entities, the power that it's giving to the government. We went over all that in my article yesterday. If you haven't read that yet, you can go back to it and find it on Substack. So we know what Republicans are going to do. We know what the corporate media is going to do, or they're going to provide them cover. So watch out for that, be cognizant of it, and let's really pay attention to, the response that Democrats are going to give to this, because I think that that's one of the main things that young people are going to look at going into the midterms is how do Democrats respond to this kind of government overreach. Like some of the congressmen on the Democrat side have said, this is the largest transfer of wealth that we've seen in a generation. And, I think that young people need to hear that. Millennials and Gen Z, that's their main concern, is finances and jobs and security and housing and things like that. So what Hakeem Jeffries did was great. That was outstanding. I think in a more neutral political environment, a more calm political environment, which we haven't had in about 10 years now, I think that record that he broke today would have gone over amazing. I think what he did with the tools that he had, I think that was noble and commendable. And I've been very critical of him in the past, but I think he did the best with what he had today. And we should celebrate him for that, but we should also look at him as a leader and look at Schumer as a leader and hold them accountable in their response. They have to come up with legislation that's going to respond to this. And in the policy article that I released yesterday, I laid all that out. There's a Democracy Defense Act that I suggested for them to look at, to have ready to go in January 2027 should they win the House back. I gave races that they should be looking at that are realistic wins for them, like realistic possibilities for them to win. So if you want to go back and look at that policy piece, you can also share that with your local congressman. I know I'm not trying to, promote my stuff too much, but I do think that we need people giving reasonable policy choices and reasonable proposals for the Democrats to be able to look at this in the right perspective and look at realistic things that they can do. We're not going to be able to overturn everything. We're not going to be able to, attack this piece by piece necessarily, but there are things that we can do at the state level to enact some policies that can, get out ahead of this. And I covered some of that in that video, or not that video, that article. So you can go back and read that on Substack on News from Underground as well. What else? That's about it. Just be cognizant of what's going on in the media right now. Be aware of what they're doing and what they're saying and the sort of cover that they're providing for the Republican talking points. Look for Democrats' response on policy, what they're looking at going into the midterms and how aggressive they're going to be in their messaging. I think that's something to be aware of. And, just keep using your voice. I appreciate you guys. You can also find me on Instagram at EvanFieldsNFU. You can find me on Threads at the same spot. As always, like, subscribe, share. News from Underground on Substack. I appreciate you all. You're the best part of this hard work, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.